Come on, here's another one. Oh. Film or TV show? Are you allowed to give clues? Film. Leave it to some other idiot to pick which one. Let's get this bad boy on the road. Here we go. Okay. Better a broken heart than no heart at all. God, who said that? Prince Phillip. No. Better a broken heart than no heart at all. Was it the Doctor? It was the Doctor, and he said it to Amy Pond. He said it to River Song, Alex Kingston. He said it to an alien. It was from A Christmas Carol, and I said it to Catherine Jenkins. To Michael Gambon, of course. Better a broken heart than no heart at all. Try it. The great Michael Gambon, by the way. What an absolute joy it was to work with him. He was just incredible. So I just, like many of us in England, he's sort of been a hero of mine. And it was a coup that we got him in Doctor Who. I just have such great fondness about that whole part, really, and that moment in my life, and getting to know Karen so well, who I love, Karen Gillan, the legend that is. Okay, bye. First one out the way. Okay, you know how to dance. You know why you're here. Get on with it. I know who that is. And he goes, you know how to dance. You know why you're here. Get on with it. And it was Jack in Last Night in Soho, brilliant Edgar Wright, and he sang it to Anya Taylor-Joy. You know how to dance. You know why you're here. Get on with it. Poor Anya, who had to dance all day, by the way, but like everything, did it completely effortlessly. I wouldn't really class myself as a dancer per se. I'm not particularly good at it. But you know, I mean, I liked dancing that movie because I thought it looked cool. And Jen, the choreographer, was just so detailed. And there was a cool thing with the cigarette, actually, which we ended up keeping in, where it smokes and flicks it away. But you know, it's different when you're dancing next to Anya Taylor-Joy, who looks in like peach sort of chiffon, looking amazing. Come on, here's another one. What else am I supposed to do? Sit around and wait for you while you're queening. Queening? She goes, yes, queening. Oh, yeah, the joy that is clairvoyant. Well, that's Prince Philip, and he's getting moody about all her queening, I think. What else am I supposed to do? Sit around and wait for you while you're queening? What did I learn about Philip while researching him? That he's a total fucking legend, to be honest. I loved him. He was really progressive. And people, particularly in England, thought he was this sort of social dinosaur, really, and was actually quite regressive. Not regressive, but, you know, he was known for sort of falling into gaffes and saying the wrong thing and being a bit of a buffoon. And actually, nothing could be further from the truth. He was really bright, really clever. And, you know, what I did learn and really appreciate about him in the end was that his sort of fortitude was remarkable, but B, his service and his diligence to the role, ultimately, and to her, to the Queen, and therefore to the country. And I don't know, you know, people come at it from a different angle, but I think he made a great sacrifice, really. I wasn't particularly a royalist before it. My granddad certainly wasn't a royalist. When I told him that I was playing Prince Philip, he went, bloody hell, you're not playing that Burke. Which is, he was from Nottingham. He could not bear him, and he couldn't bear the royal family, to be honest. What are we on? What are we on? All our lives we have lived with deaths hanging over us. Well, I mean, it can only be, is it Daemon Targaryen? No. All our lives we have lived with deaths hanging over us. All our lives we have lived with deaths hanging over us. Film or TV show? Are you allowed to give clues? Film. It's not Mapplethorpe, is it? Oh, crikey Moses. It's Milo in Morbius. Good old Morbius. All our lives we've lived with death hanging over us. I was rather disappointed, actually, because I just broke out into Richard III in the subway one day in a take. I honestly, like, it was because what I quite liked, which maybe ultimately didn't work, but like Daniel used to let me just improvise stuff. None of it made it in, really. But like I used to like just rock out. Like I literally did pretty much most of that first speech in Richard III in a sort of angry vampire mode. I mean, this was before the Joker came out, by the way, but I wanted it to feel a bit like it had that element of sort of, sounds so wanky, doesn't it? But there was a jazz about him. There was like, because this is the guy who was totally had been impeded and, you know, physically impaired his whole life, and I think emotionally that had kind of scarred him so much that suddenly when he drank the good stuff, he became, you know, King Kong or whatever. He can keep his tongue. I know that. That's Daemon Targaryen. He can keep his tongue. Well, and what happened there was, frustratingly, let me tell you, so the week before, or 2 weeks before, I'd slipped a disc in my neck in Portugal doing a stunt on some cobbles in the Armour. And so if you notice when you sort of rewatch any of that, really, I'm just, in the last 2 episodes, I'm just completely kind of still, because I couldn't move. There was a lot of doubles involved in that day and quite minimal swinging from me. Like 12 months we shot for, I think, in the end. And all those scenes where, like the wedding scene, when we were all together, it became like the last day of school every day. We were just losing our mind. And then this food is sort of, because we were shooting those scenes for like 2 weeks, and then all this food is just rotting slowly, smelling the place out. But I do look back on those scenes with fondness, because we had a right old laugh. I think I've got some great stuff coming up with Ewan, obviously, who plays Aemond. You know, we've got some exciting sort of new and young actors coming through. I don't know, I'm quite looking forward to getting my hands dirty again in the old battles, basically. Because I think that Daemon goes on quite a strange journey this year, without giving too much away. Ooh, got another. Now this is quite a long one. Just pick a random number, express that number as a quantity of minutes, and when the time has elapsed, remind me to patch the telephone back through the console unit. Well, that's got to be the doctor, isn't it? My lord. Just pick a random number, express that number as a quantity of minutes, and when that time has elapsed, remind me to patch the telephone back through the console unit. I mean, this was the thing, you know, that's like a tiny segment of what was probably Stephen Moffat writing, but like the line learning for that job was insatiable. And David Tennant, God love him, said to me when I sort of phoned him and got the job and asked him for different bits of advice, he was really generous with that. He was like, learn all of your lines on the Sunday, because you've got to go back and do them, because you're shooting like 10 pages a day. He's the vocal point for, you know, the exposition essentially, because he's saying everything that he sees, and obviously it's television, so you're not doing it visually in quite the same way that you would in a film. You've got to explain what's going on to the audience, because the story has to move so quickly. So the line learning was just off the Richter scale, like a lot. One of the greatest experiences of my life, and not just mine, you know, my family and my friends, because it's such, to be so closely connected with a part like that, for the legacy of it, one, but also just for the day-to-day of being, like, having to think like the Doctor is sort of magic, really. Yes. I didn't attack John, I saved him. Who in the name of Clive is John? Where have I met a John? I didn't attack John. I saved him. John. I didn't attack John, I saved him. Who's saving who, and why is there a John? Oh, Skynet. Well, it was, you know, my rather brief time in that world.
I didn't attack John. I saved him.
So it was quite strange, you know, when I'm filming, like, my first day was with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he was in, like, just the top half, and, like, green spandex, like, green screen trousers, and I was like, what the fuck is going on, man? Like, and I'm playing a computer, you know, it was quite bizarre. Last one. Oh no, can I have an apple? Doctor, who? Can I have an apple? Isn't that my first line in the whole show? And then he hits the tree, and then I go in and I eat fish fingers and custard, which I tried for real, by the way. And then I ate 12 of the little fish fingers. Sophia Okonedo actually really helped me on my first episode, which I filmed with her. She came up to me and was like, look, you know, you have to lead this show. I didn't really know. I was only 25. I was like, what? You know. And I did from that point on. Looking back, I used to spend a lot of time in, like, my local video store, spending hours trying to pick a movie. which is indicative to my personality in a way. I spend hours doing anything, but I loved the adventure of films and story. But here we are, talking about lines like, can I have an apple?